Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. So yes, thank you so much, Faith, and hello to everybody here and everybody who'll be maybe watching the recording. So this is yoga for a good night's sleep. I'm going to be doing a kind of mix of practical and also informative. So make sure that you're nice and comfortable. You'll probably need a blanket, a pillow, yoga mat, and just make sure that you are comfy and that you also maybe have some tissues to hand, because we're going to be doing some breathing practices as well. Or if you want to put questions in the chat, just please do. But we will, as Faith said, have time at the end to be able to answer some of those questions. So yeah, I always love talking about sleep. It's one of my absolute favorite topics. As far as I'm concerned, there's one thing that we all want more of in our lives, and that's time, money, and sleep. So I'll get started, but I'm also kind of interested. I don't know. I know some of you got your cameras off, but I'm wondering maybe you could just put it in the chat, what you think about sleep, what your sleep is like, whether or not you had a good night's sleep, anything that kind of comes to mind about sleep. And I might just get started, because I must admit, I've always had a bit of a checkered history with sleep. I am someone who tends to kind of have trouble sometimes falling asleep, but often waking up in the middle of the night and not knowing what to do. And I used to actually dread going to sleep, and then I didn't even realize it kind of became subliminal, because I was having problems sleeping, which got much worse when I went through menopause. And it was only when I was talking to someone and they were saying to me how much they loved going to sleep that I realized that I actually really didn't want to sleep, and I had a bit of a kind of issue around it. So I thought I can actually change this and turn it around and start to really look forward to going to sleep, to making my sleep hygiene really wonderful. And we'll talk about that in a minute, and enjoying going to sleep and not putting that pressure upon myself, and using the yoga tools that we'll also look into as well. And now, as a result, I have to say, even if I have a bad night's sleep or I wake up in the night, which I often do, I'll just do one of my relaxations, one of my breathing practices, and I just find the opportunity to rest really deeply. And as a result, my sleep has turned right around, and I actually really look forward to going to bed. I love my sleep. And yeah, so I'm hoping to be able to share that with you. I'm just looking to see, I don't know if I can see all the chat, what people were saying. Oh, okay. I used to sleep very well, but now sleep is disturbed. Yeah, that's often to do with menopause. Again, we'll talk about that. It's really frustrating. It's often something that sleep through menopause is, yeah, menopause is responsible for, lack of estrogen, which can affect our melatonin levels. And as we age, we tend to get less deep sleep and more lighter sleep. So again, yeah, one of those things. Sleep is so important for our health, and I'm not sleeping as well as I could. I wake up a few times a night. Yep, thank you for that one. And I love sleep. This is Faith, 6 to 7 hours a night, but I wake up multiple times during the night. Yep. Well, you're not alone, Faith. So it's what we do when we, to make sure that we get back to sleep, or at least we rest soundly. So I'm going to share the screen now. Okay, so here we go. Yoga for a good night's sleep. And let's just hope that we can scroll down. Oh, it's a bit worried about, oh yeah, here we go. Some sleep stats. So we spend more than a third of our lives in this unconscious state of sleep. So it's a massive part of our lives. And if we're not getting the sleep we need, then it's going to really impact on every other part of our life. But so many of us do have problems. So here are some good stats, like nearly half of all adults report at least 2 sleep-related problems, and 1 in 3 Australians are not getting enough sleep. So 10 to 30% of adults do struggle with insomnia or having trouble getting to sleep. Oh, actually, maybe if I just, there we go. Here we go. And some more sleep stats. So according to Healthline, the average adult should be getting between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. And as we get a bit older, that tends to fall a little to 7 to 8 hours. But again, most of us aren't getting that kind of sleep that we need. Men typically get more sleep, don't have as many problems as women, and at least 1 in 7 of us will wake at least once in the night. All right, let's just get to the next slide. So through menopause, that definitely affects our sleep. So once we've got the menopause, that problem, about 30% of women have issues before menopause sleeping. And then once you go into menopause, this transition goes up by about 2 to 3 times. So yeah, so it's one of the most common symptoms of menopause, and it can still happen post-menopause, and it takes a while to settle down. So the reasons for this poor sleep during menopause can be that reduced estrogen, which affects the circadian rhythm, which is the melatonin levels, sleep changes as we get older. You can get other hormonal changes, depression. Often what's happening in life as well, we are kind of like the sandwich generation. We might have, we might be carers for our parents. We've got children perhaps as well, other life pressures and demands that can impact us at this time of life. There's also obstructive sleep apnea and weight gain, which again can be due to menopause, and restless legs. There's and if we're sleeping with a partner, they might be more prone to snoring as they get older too, so we can get disturbances in that way as well. Medical conditions that can also impact sleep, and also the medication that perhaps we do take for those medical conditions as well. As we get older, we do spend less time in deep sleep, so we can be more prone to waking up easily. So again, if you're finding that you're waking up more often during the night, then that's often one of the reasons. Could also needing to go to the bathroom, so we can get more issues of incontinence and things like that. So yeah, easy to see how our sleep is impacted as we get a bit older. So I wanted to dive straight into a practical now. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. And we're going to do a practice called alternate nostril breathing. Now, with yoga, one of the key parts of yoga is pranayama, which is breathing practices. And there's a whole lot of different soothing pranayama practices that we can do that help to calm the mind and calm the body and help to promote really lovely, good, soothing sleep. So one of the first ones I'm going to go through with you today is alternate nostril breathing. All right, so if you want to find a nice, comfortable position for this one, and this is the reason why I was asking you to bring some tissues, because often we're a bit stuffy, either through one side of the nose or the other. So you might even want to just have a quick blow of your nose before you start this one. Alternatively, you can also do mental Nadi Shodhana. So if you're really feeling a bit stuffed up, you can imagine that you're breathing in through the left nostril, breathing out through the right. But make sure that you feel nice and comfortable. I'm just going to support the elbow with the hand and close my right nostril and just rest my middle finger and index finger between the eyebrows, and then breathe in through the left nostril to a count of about 4. Close the left nostril, release the right nostril, and breathe out for 4. And then breathe in through the right nostril for 4. Close the right nostril and breathe out through the left for 4. And just continue this for about 3 more rounds, just being aware of perhaps if one side of the nose is a little clearer than the other. And then just finishing the last complete round. And then when you finish, just letting the hands rest in the lap for a moment, taking a breath in and out. And just being aware of the breath now at the base of both nostrils, drawing the breath in. Imagine the breath floating up to the point between the eyebrows. This is yin tang. We're going to talk about that in a moment too. And then breathing out through both nostrils. Now, in yoga, we have energy channels that go right around the body. And it's believed that we have about 72,000 of these energy channels. The left side correlates with the feminine and the right with the masculine. So these energy channels are called nadis. So the right side is the masculine, and that's the pingala, and the left side is the feminine, the ida. So when you breathed in and out through the nostrils, often you'll find that one side is clearer than the other. And sometimes both sides are as clear as each other. And when both sides are clear, that is said to be that Sushumna is open. And that's the point kind of between the Ajna chakra, the crown chakra. And that is when we are supposed to be in a really good state and balanced for meditation. If the left side is a little clearer, we are feeling calmer. It's a time for more feminine, quieter pursuits. If the right side is a little clearer, then we have more energy. That's the more masculine side. So often if you find when you go to sleep, you might want to do that and just notice. And often if you're having trouble settling down, you might find that it's the right side is a little bit more open. So what we can do, we can actually manipulate this. We can try and encourage ourselves to come into a calmer state of mind by closing the right nostril and just breathing in and out through the left nostril for around 5 to 15 breaths, whatever feels good for you. So I'll just do that now. So you might like to do this. This can be one of your bedtime practices. So there'll be a few little bedtime practices that are kind of weaved into this presentation. So if you've got your pen and paper, you might like to write down some of the ones you want to try. So we're going to just close the right nostril now. Find a nice comfortable position again, maybe close the eyes and breathe in and out just through the left nostril. Because we're a little short of time, we'll just do 3 breaths. 3 nice, slow, smooth, deep breaths. And then 1 more breath. And then just rest the hands in the lap. Again, just take a moment for your breath to find its own natural rhythm once more. Breathing in through both nostrils and release. And although that was just a few short breaths, so you may already have found that you feel just a little bit calmer. So another thing that we can do when we're going to bed is that we can, if we're a side sleeper, we can sleep on our right side. So if we're sleeping on our right side, our left nose, our left channel is more open. So, and again, if you wake in the night, maybe just turn yourself onto your right side, do a couple of extra breaths. You can do it while you're just lying down, just favoring that left channel. On the flip side, and what you might like to do after watching this, if you're doing it like we are in the middle of the day, is take a few extra breaths on the right side, because that's more energizing. All right, so that was our little Nadi Shodhana tip. So we'll just return to the slideshow once more. Okay. Wanted to talk to you very briefly about sleep cycles, because this is fascinating. We used to think like years ago that sleep was just something we did. We were just kind of almost brain dead. We went to sleep, we woke up. But there is so much going on, and it's good to understand this and to have a good idea about your sleep. So each sleep cycle is around 90 minutes to 120 minutes. And we normally, adults have about 4 to 6 sleep cycles every night. The first 3 stages are non-REM sleep. And the last stage is REM, rapid eye movement. So stage 1 is the lightest sleep, and this is where we just kind of start to fall asleep. So our muscles begin to relax, and it takes on average around 7 minutes in this state. And we can be woken fairly easily in this state. The next one is stage 2. And this is where our brain has these kind of sleep spindles, where these bursts of electrical activity. This is typically around 25 minutes, and our heart rate begins to slow down and our body temperature drops a little. Then we go into this is really where we want to be. This is the absolute cream of our sleep, which is the deep sleep. And this is where our body repairs itself, and it helps our immune function. And we're very difficult to sleep in this state because our heart rate's slow and our body temperature drops even more. And we are in this really lovely, productive, healing, deep sleep. But surprisingly, actually, we only spend about 20% of our sleep in that deep sleep. And as I mentioned earlier, as we get older, typically we have less of this deep sleep. Okay, so we go from deep sleep into REM sleep, and REM is where the brain is active. And amazingly, the body actually paralyzes the muscles, because otherwise we could probably be moving around and walking all over the place and everything, because this is where we have our quite amazing, vivid dreams in this state. And this is where the brain kind of does a little bit of a reboot, and it goes through all the memories and things that have happened during the day. And it's a bit like when you sort your phone out, or the pictures in your phone, it just kind of puts them into files, what needs to be discarded, what needs to be kept. And so obviously this is really important for our brain. And again, as we age, we really want to be very mindful of looking after our brain and our memory and our cognitive function, everything like that. So the other thing about this, which is interesting, and I think which underpins why it's important to have good sleep routine and a sleep hygiene, is because we get more of our deep sleep earlier on in the evening. So if we go to bed around 10 o'clock, we have that as our cutoff time, we're going to spend more time in that lovely healing deep sleep state. Okay. So I don't probably need to tell you too much about the benefits of good sleep, because I think it's something that we all know. When we've had a good night's sleep, we just feel energized, and it's good for our immune function. It actually helps us to maintain a healthy weight, and we've just got better thought processes, decision making. We're more flexible, we're actually more content, we're happier, we're more amenable. So in so many, it's just fantastic for us. But it's also interesting because when we're sleeping well, that regulates our hormones. So we get this lovely kind of mix of happy hormones, and it's very cyclical, because if our hormone health is good and balanced, then that's going to help our sleep. But and our sleep will then help our hormones, and our hormones are vital for good sleep. Okay, so sleep helps to regulate our metabolism and our cortisol levels as well. So when we've got high cortisol, we're often quite stressed. We've also got the melatonin, which is that's one of the main hormones that we really want to kind of make sure that we're producing lots of melatonin. And that's produced by the pineal gland, and this helps to regulate our body's circadian rhythm, and so we can fall and stay asleep. It's produced when it's dark, and that's interesting, because if we're using a screen late at night, that emits a blue light, and that fools the brain into thinking it's daytime. So another reason why it's good not to be looking at devices within an hour or two of going to bed. And serotonin is also important, because that induces that slow wave sleep, and also helps to produce melatonin as well. Okay, so go to the next slide. So yes, so now I just wanted to do another little practical with you, and this is yin tang. So as part of my background, I've been teaching yoga for around 24 years now, and also massage. And my studies and training have taken in yin yoga and Ayurveda and restorative yoga, and all the things that help to bring this lovely kind of sleep and acupressure points and things that we can gain from the East to help us in the West to sleep. So acupressure points are a wonderful tool that we can all use really easily. We don't even have to get anything because they're just on us, but it's a case of understanding where they are and what we can do. So this point here, which was, we were actually lightly pressing on when we did our alternate nostril breathing. This is called yin tang. So it's between the eyebrows. Pineal gland's kind of behind here as well. And what we're doing here, when we're just going to take our index finger and just circle very slowly in a clockwise direction just between the eyebrows. Now you might want to just lightly close the eyes. So it's just very kind of gentle but firm pressure. And while we're doing this, and the other thing, you can either just continue to circle around or just gently hold that point, or maybe even just slightly pulse into that point. So make sure that you're feeling nice and relaxed again. So soften into the shoulders, relax the jaw, and either hold, circle, or just pulse into that point. And we're going to breathe in through the nose here. Hold the breath in for a moment and then lightly part the lips and allow the breath to release all the way out through the mouth. So just lightly part the lips as if you have a piece of paper between your lips. Imagine that out breath. Oh, sorry.
We can't see you. We can still see the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry. Let's
No
just stop sharing there. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I've just got my finger between the eyebrows and I'm just very lightly just circling or pulsing or holding. And I'm just going to take a breath in through the nose, lightly part the lips and allow the breath to release slowly and gently all the way out through the mouth. So a lovely, long, slow exhalation. Then when I finish the exhale, I'm going to draw the breath back in through the nose. And you might like to just hold this elbow just to make sure that you're feeling comfortable. Just let that breath float all the way out. Long, slow exhale. And do one more breath here. And then release. Okay. Again, take another breath in and out. So with our breathing, what we're trying to do is we're lengthening the exhalation. So you don't have to really learn too many complicated breathing practices. Just the important thing is to have a long, slow exhale. So we can just do a little bit now. So just take a passive breath in. Don't even worry about the inhale, because the inhale is the energizing part of the breath. So in terms of calming ourselves down or trying to sleep, we really focus more on the exhale. So just taking a passive breath in. You just hold the breath in for 1 or 2 counts, but make sure you're not straining the breath in any way. And then either breathe out through the mouth or through the nose, whatever feels comfortable. And you might even like to sigh the breath away. And as you sigh the breath away, that's an invitation to your body to soften and release. You can soften into the shoulders, soften into the jaw, soften into the eyes. And again, when you're lying in bed, all you need to do, take a breath in and a long, slow exhale. And you can send this exhalation in your mind to any part of your body that perhaps is holding on to a little bit of residual tension or tightness. Maybe thoughts that are going around in your mind, feel that you are just dissolving them away, or imagine you're just blowing them away like clouds across the sky. Okay. So just go back to our screen. And it's amazing, it's almost like yoga. The focus of yoga is purely to help us get a really good night's sleep, but it's so much more than that. But there's just so many parts and elements to yoga that is conducive to having a good sleep. So I put this book up there because that's fantastic, but also it kind of shows you that in traditional Chinese medicine, and probably a lot of you have heard of this, there is a 24-hour period and where the qi, the energy, moves through the organs in 2-hour blocks. And it's really interesting because when we look at this timeline, then we see that that correlates with how we should be spending our time during the day and in the evening. So when we talk about a sleep hygiene routine and doing the things that are important to ensure that you get a good night's sleep and that you feel relaxed, it's just as important to be looking at what you're doing during the day to make sure that you sleep well at night. We don't really have the time to go into this at this point, but I'm happy to answer questions about it. But it is interesting, right? Right now, for example, the heart, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the heart is at its strongest. So that tells us that at this point, this is where we're thinking quite clearly between 11 and 1 o'clock. Our heart's nice and strong, and this is a time when we need to be energized rather than sleeping. But in 12 hours time, the heart is at its weakest point. So that's when it needs to rest. And it's the same with all the organs. So it's really interesting when you look into this in a little bit more detail. Okay. So sleep habits that we can bring in, which help to support this body clock that we're in. So things that we can do at night, things like keeping our room cool, especially important during menopause if you are having hot flushes, having nice, loose, comfortable, natural fibers with clothing, doing things that we can do to enhance that the harmonious hormones, things we've talked about, but also doing very relaxing things in the evening, having a warm bath, reading a book rather than looking at a screen or something that it's exciting on TV. You just want to do more kind of quieter programs, and maybe using some essential oil, being tidy, keeping your bedroom really nice, making your bed first thing in the morning. That's actually a really good thing to do. And instead of going to bed with thoughts going around your mind, dealing with those before you go to bed. So any concerns, maybe making sure that you have a book beside your bed to kind of write down anything that you need to kind of put down on paper and then try and put away. But it's nice to think about things that have happened during the day that you're really grateful for. And that can put us into a really lovely kind of content space, and we can be in that space when we fall asleep. So that can be a really nice thing to do as the last thing you do. Now, it has been shown, studies have shown that having a gentle relaxation practice or a yoga routine, nice slow flow or restorative yoga, helps to induce GABA, which is a neurotransmitter, which actually reduces excitability and inhibits nerve transmission, and it encourages us to sleep. So yeah, that gets us into that really nice, relaxed state. And again, the slow, deep breathing. So the vagal state, that's to do with the vagal theory, which again we don't really have time to touch on today, but we kind of want to be in this lovely kind of calm vagal state where we're feeling really relaxed and nurtured and nourished. So relaxing book, and I have to say this is probably a good time just for me to mention that I've written a book called The Guided Relaxation, Your Essential Guide to Creating Calm, and this one is a great one to have beside your bed. You can dip into, there's some really lovely quotes in there, there's some relaxation scripts, there's some breathing techniques, yeah, so the other things that, making sure that you, as we mentioned before, get into bed at 10 p.m. and have a fixed time to wake up in the morning. So this is ideally around 6 a.m. or between 6 and 7 a.m., no later than 7. Another interesting aspect is actually to look at your dosha type. So in Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga, there are 3 doshas. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So again, you may well know which is your dosha. Vatas are the type that tend to run around in a kind of mad frenzy, but actually my Springer Spaniel Minty, who's not being a typical Vata at the moment, but she loves the yoga, so that's why she's here, a bit like me. But I'm a Vata, so I've lots of energy. I tend to burn the candles at both ends. So I really need to nurture and nourish and do all these kind of grounding, calming practices to help me feel calm. This is, again, a very brief overview. Pitta, they're kind of like Pitta types, and often you've got a mix of a couple of the different doshas. So I'm kind of Vata Pitta. Pitta are quite perfectionists. They're leaders. They got good ideas. They know what they want to do, and yeah, they get things done. But they do tend to wake up a little bit with lots of thoughts going on, and they do sometimes have trouble getting to sleep. The best thing for Pittas is to make sure that you have, it's nice and cool in the room, and that you can actually go to bed a little bit later as a Pitta, maybe 11 p.m. And then you've got Kaphas. So Kaphas is very loyal, dependable, loving, kind, beautiful people. They're the people you want as your best friends. But they do tend to oversleep. That's the one thing they can do. They can get a bit lethargic. And yeah, so if you recognize yourself there, then you need to make sure that you're waking up at 6. You don't really want to push it to 7. And you also want to make sure that your room has got lots of air circulating and that you're doing a lot of physical activity during the day. So yeah, so just interesting to touch on that too, because all these elements of yoga really lend themselves to helping us to have a good night's sleep. Diet and nutrition, obviously really, really important. And again, just stands to reason, really. Fits in with our yoga body clock. Our largest meal should be the first meal of the day, breakfast. And then by the time we're having dinner, it should be something that's simple, easy to digest, not kind of spicy, fried or rich at all. Certainly Kaphas need to not have sweet foods with their dinner as well, because that will upset them a little bit too. Making sure that you limit your caffeine particularly after midday. Mediterranean diets go really well with good sleep. And what's another nice thing to do is to have a golden tea. Now this is, I have this whenever I can, and it's kind of cow's milk, and Ayurveda cow's milk is really, really good for us. So warming cow's milk or whatever milk that you like with some turmeric, and then when it's nice and warm, just stir in a little bit of honey and just have that, and that helps to induce that lovely sleep. You might also want to, actually there's another point, but Ayurveda is have a lovely warm oil massage on your hands or your feet before you go to bed. That can encourage lovely deep sleep too. And then there's tryptophan, which can be found also in milk and nuts and poultry and legumes, which does also help to produce the melatonin and the serotonin. And I'm afraid, and it always goes without saying, that it's best to avoid alcohol. And if you do want to have alcohol, then just maybe a glass of red wine with your dinner. So yeah, so looking at our daytime, our evening routine, I'm aware that we haven't got much time. Sorry, guys. So we're just going to quickly, oh yes, I was just going to, Faith will tell you this. This is the 2 books that I've actually written 3 books, but these 2 are particularly about relaxation. So there'll be some information to come about those, but we're going to go into a little bit of a yoga practice now. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing. All right, so aware that we don't have a lot of time. We've got, I think maybe just about 10 minutes. So we'll do a really slow. I might just get you just to lie down on your back. So make sure that you're nice and comfy, and you might want to just slide your hands up to your knees and just circle your knees around. Make sure the back of your head is nice and relaxed. Now, when we're doing gentle rocking or circles, that's very soothing. So try to move really, really slowly. I'm just gonna check how everyone's going. So really slow it down. I can see a few people already going a little bit too fast. And sometimes it's challenging to go a little slower because we go through our lives very quickly. So we want this little yoga flow to just be a bit of a bridge between our day and coming into a lovely relaxed state to go to sleep at night. When you look at children, they naturally, and when we have babies, we naturally rock them. So this is what we want to do. We want to kind of have that lovely rocking, nurturing sensation that really helps to soothe and nourish our nervous system. And you might like to just take the knees up towards the armpits and just have a little rock from one hip to the other, one shoulder to the other. Closing the eyes or softening the gaze, relaxing the jaw. And then you might like to just place the feet on the floor. Sorry, I just have to move you, Minty. And then from here, just as you inhale, just press into the feet and raise the hips up, raise the arms at the same time. And then exhale, release the spine and the arms back down. And then do a little pelvic tilt where you create an arch in the small of the back. Press the small of the back into the floor, come back into that neutral pelvis, and then slide the hands to the knees. And again, just do a little rock side to side. Do that one more time. Inhale, press into the feet, raise the hips. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time, releases down to the floor, hands to the knees, and a little rock. And then from here, we're just going to very gently just circle the ankles, circle the wrists, spread the fingers, spread the toes, go one way, go the other. And then just give everything a little bit of a shake. Like this is dying bug pose. So just shake out your day. Shake out any tension. Doesn't have to be too vigorous. Just a nice, gentle shake. And then we're going to ease our way into a relaxed Shavasana. So you can either just keep the knees bent and just rest the knees against one another. Or, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to use Minty as my bolster. You can place your legs and just let your, oh my gosh, sorry about this. I don't think she's too unhappy here, but I've got my bolster over here, but she's in the way. But so you place your bolster or your pillow underneath your knees. And you might want to pop an eye pillow over your eyes because we're going to go into a short relaxation now. Take the arms out to the side, palms face up. Well, actually, when the palms come down, that is really beginning to help you feel grounded. So you can bring your palms down to feel grounded. Make sure that your head and neck is completely relaxed. You might like to very slowly just rock the head from an ear to ear direction, but again, really slow. Chin slightly tucked in, back of the neck is long. And I apologize now because what I'm going to do is I hope I'm not going to send you to sleep. So I'm going to do a really relaxing relaxation, which I know for some of you, you're either in Perth or you're in Sydney or wherever, and it's not really the time that we want to go to sleep, but it's just going to give you an idea of what a deep relaxation can do to help you get into a lovely relaxed state. So maybe just kind of have that in your mind as you listen, that you are just going to be more aware of what I'm saying. So yeah. All right. So I've called this one 7 minutes to sleep. Okay. So just taking that time to make sure that you feel really comfortable. You might like to cover yourself with a blanket. A weighted blanket can be really nice if it's not too hot. And then you might like to enjoy a lovely big yawn. So maybe have a big yawn. Oh, release the jaw and then let that settle and relax. And now take your focus to your eyelids. Sense the heaviness of both eyelids. But we're not going to close our eyes just yet. Just notice as if each of your eyelashes has a tiny little weight attached, and they feel really heavy, really relaxed. Drawing the eyelids down. So even though it's tempting to close your eyes, please resist the urge and instead focus on the eyelids softening And along with the heavy sensation, you may feel a warm glow. Feel this heaviness and warmth filter into your eyes and into all the muscles of your face. Inside the cheekbones, into the teeth, the gums, your head and neck. This soothing warmth creating a sensation of your head and face sinking deeper and deeper into your pillow. Still, you keep your eyes gently open as this heaviness flows into your chest, down both arms and all the way along the spine, like a soft blanket lightly covering you. This heaviness flows down the body, down to the pelvis, down both legs, knees, ankles, and feet, until your whole body feels protected, nurtured, and gently wrapped in a soft blanket of relaxation. Turning your awareness now to your eyelids and gratefully close them. Enjoying the sweetness as the eyelids lightly touch. See behind your closed eyelids a gentle beckoning, inviting you into your inner world as the outer world of doing begins to drift away. Each breath out carries you on the welcome wave of sleep and into deep, deep rest, becoming heavier and sinking deeper with every out breath. Imagine yourself walking down a spiral staircase. Each step invites you to sink a little deeper into its healing embrace. All the way down. Until you find yourself at the bottom of the staircase, where you find a comfortable bed with satin pillows and silk sheets, freshly made just for you. You step in and pull the covers up over your head and nestle deeply into the softest, coziest bed ever. It's like sinking into the softest clouds imaginable. As you enjoy the sensation, as your mind, body, and spirit glides into deep, nourishing relaxation. Noticing your breath now. Simply notice the natural rhythm of your breath flowing in, flowing out. Starting to notice the contact points of your body on the ground. Starting to become aware of the sounds around you, sounds closest to you. And then radiating your awareness to the sounds further away, like concentric zones. Sounds in the room, sounds beyond the room, sounds in the distance. Just noticing the temperature of the air on your skin. And start to make some very small intuitive movements. You might like to move the fingers, the toes, perhaps have a gentle stretch. Just nice and slow in your own time. And if you are doing this in the recording and you just want to go to sleep, then go back to sleep. Otherwise, start to make those movements a little bit bigger. Perhaps even just bend the knees, rotate the knees. Ease your way over to one side. And then when you're ready, just come back into a comfortable sitting position. And just take the arms up above the head, bring the hands into the heart space, stirring in that beautiful restful energy, take it into your heart. And then because we do want to come back into our day, you might just like to briskly rub the hands together. That's it. Take the hands over the eyes, let the eyes soften and release. And maybe just gently tap into the crown of the head. Tap into the forehead, maybe just rub up the arms, both arms. Just rub into the kidneys, down the legs. Just start to bring a little bit of movement to the body. Maybe tap into the heart space. And maybe just take a few breaths just in and out of the right nostril now. That's where we want that energizing. And then when you're ready, just coming back to center. And yes, so I'm really hoping that you're not feeling too sleepy. But yes, so that just kind of gives you a little bit of a snapshot of maybe what guided relaxation can do, and just all the beautiful practices that we can cherry pick from our yoga to help enhance our sleep.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katie. I was really close to falling asleep.
Yeah, I didn't do the whole thing. Yeah,
I can tell. And I really kept in mind around breathing out of the right nostril. I thought that I'll use that to bring me back. So I just allowed myself. So that was fantastic. So we just got a few minutes. Anyone with any questions for Katie? Let us know. Just maybe put your hand up. I can't see everyone. I can only see Dahlia and, oh, I can see you, Dahlia. Oriana, I can also see you, but I can't see everyone else. I'm not sure why, but anyway. That's okay. So, Dahlia, did you want to ask a question? Just unmute yourself, darling.
Okay, you hear me now?
We can hear
Yes.
And I'm talking about the timings, you know, like I find that if I eat too late before sleep time, you know, the whole night my tummy is gurgling away, and
Yes.
and I find it, so I don't know, for me the best time to stop eating is 6 p.m. What do you
Yeah, oh, well, look, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, but that's definitely that goes in line with the body clock, is that, yeah, try to have your last meal no later than about 7, but your biggest meal is your breakfast, and then your lunch, and then you're ideally looking for something that's kind of fairly easy to digest in the evening about 6 o'clock. And you're right, that's exactly what's happening. And that follows with you know, our stomach is strongest at between 7 and 9 in the morning, and it's weakest, you know, 7 to 9 at night. So if you really want to have your main meal before, you know, to follow the body clock. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Anybody else? Because I can't see you, I don't know why. I think because it's recording, just unmute yourself and jump in, okay?
Hello.
Yeah, go.
Hi. Yeah,
Brianna?
I've noticed that from about 8 o'clock, that's when the melatonin starts working. So
Yeah.
I start getting sleepy at about 8:30. And my partner's very good at circadian. So by 9:30, he's had a glass of milk and gone to bed.
Great.
But I do the naughty thing and I watch a movie, and it takes me another hour and a half.
Yeah.
To get the clock back, right? So if I did what he did, I
Yeah.
would do the natural rhythm and start winding down after 8 o'clock, because they told me that that's when the melatonin starts kicking in.
Yeah, that's right. That movie, you're getting that blue light. I mean, it's a balance, isn't it? Because we don't want to kind of live our lives, in a way that we're not having much fun or enjoying ourselves. But maybe it might be better if you guys watch the movie earlier in the evening and then start to wind down from about 8 o'clock. Yeah, it just depends. It's what, if the sleep makes a big difference to you and it's impeding your life, then yeah, you just maybe need to make choices of watching things at different times. So.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe not every night, yeah, it's a kind of balance, isn't it?
I've been eating a banana before going to sleep, and that really has tryptophan, and that has helped.
Yeah, that's right. Bananas are great, easy to digest, tryptophan. So, if you do find yourself hungry, something like that is a really good snack to have.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. There's time for one more question. Anyone want to ask anything else? And please note that I will be sending a follow-up email with Katie's details, and Katie's got a lovely special offer for us. One of the advantages of attending these sessions live is you can ask questions. But if anyone's watching the recording, you want to ask any questions, please feel free to email Katie or myself. And yeah, Katie will be happy to support you. Wonderful. So thank you for participating in this beautiful Yoga in the Sanctuary with the lovely Katie Brown. This beautiful, refreshing yoga practice. I feel really refreshed. So
good. Yeah.
We're grateful. We've got a big day, Jodie and I'm still
Yeah. That's the thing.
Great.
If you do kind of these little practices through the day, it will actually, sometimes you think you're not doing anything, but you're actually regenerating and you're giving yourself more energy for the rest of the day. So yeah, it's really good.
Thank you. Now, Jodie, can I just get you to turn up if I do the rest? Thank you. So if you're listening, if you're watching the replay, as I said, please feel free to reach out to myself with any questions for Katie, and I